Jam! Welcome back to another episode of Live Every Day Like It's Sunday. I'm your host, Linds, and I definitely almost opened this episode by saying wildly holistic, which feels so on brand with what I was going to talk about today. Just a sign for anyone who's out there that it's okay to be messy, and it's okay to question, and it's okay to be exactly who you are, and know that as you grow and evolve and change, the things you create might also evolve and change to reflect you. And what's funny is this podcast used to be called Wildly Holistic. So if you look back at my original episodes, you might see those words. It was what I thought was going to be my quote unquote business. I have, there's still somewhere out there, socials and email and you name it, I had created it. There was a website, all the things, because I thought that I had to do something. And that's what we're going to talk about today, is like building a life thinking that that is what you have to do or what you need to do or what society tells you to do. And then you grow and evolve and change and you're not that same person anymore. And how that life no longer resonates with you, and the life that you are truly desiring or creating now. It's funny because I've been thinking about this a lot, and we've been talking about butterfly season, we've been talking about the year of the snake going into the year of the horse and shedding all the things that no longer serve us to then basically integrate and light a fire under our asses to move forward, right? If we're talking in terms of the Lunar New Year and all the things. So, but what I really want to get down to is, and this is speaking from personal experience, but this is just for whoever watches this. I always trust that these videos find whoever they're meant to, whenever they're meant to. And a huge intention with making these episodes, these videos, putting them out to the world, not only because it helps me to verbally process and express, because I am a self-projected projector in human design, but I know that there are mirrors of myself out there. There are older versions of myself out there that could use this information. And these are things that I wish I had years ago. So, creation from the old. That has been a huge topic the last few days. It's creating things from an old energy. That is not new earth creation. That is not new world creation. That is not what we actually came here for. For those of us that are remembering really heavily, I don't know about y'all, but like I have been remembering a lot this year, especially it's because I have been focused on coming home to myself. That has been my intention. And my word for the year was freedom. Freedom from old ways of being, freedom from who I thought I was supposed to be, freedom from the life that I built based on that persona and that identity. Having a moment where I am just a blip on I'm just a fucking star. Not in that sort of sense, but you know what I mean. Like, I am just a star. We are all just stars in a meat suit on a floating rock. That's all. And when you bring it down to those brass tacks, you realize nothing matters. And yet everything matters. We get upset about the silliest things. We let what society tells us deem what we're supposed to do in this life and create in this life, which has created the world that we are in. And it's what, like, me going to school and being a nurse and going for 2 degrees and doing all the things that I thought I was supposed to do, get married. Thank God I didn't have kids. Like, I think about all the things that I have done, and I joke because all the things that I have done in 33 years, some people take their entire lives to do. And that is still wild to me to think about that, but also it's part of my purpose and why I came here. And, you know, we can get into karma and attachments and all of that ish, if you will, but that's not the purpose of this episode. Because the purpose of this is, if this is finding you and you are going through an identity shift, or you feel like the rug is being pulled out from under you, or you feel like the curtain is being pulled back and you are seeing things in a completely new way, It's because you're remembering, and you're not meant to do things the old way. We're not meant to bring things into the world the old way. These creations that are wanting to be brought into this world to create a new world, we cannot create from the old. I always love to use the box analogy. Everybody wants something new, but you have a box full of old shit. You can't put something new in a box of old shit. You have to take out the old shit to be able to put something new in. If the box is overflowing, you have to make space. And this is something that I have been practicing and embodying and going through the shedding, not only this year, but the last however many years, almost 4 years since I got divorced. Technically almost 5. Again, what is time? But that version of me that I thought that I had to be, it's not a thing anymore. Because I am no longer allowing it to be a thing, because that is not my actual truth at my core. And I believe that if this is finding you, you're probably someone who's going through the same thing, or this might spark the thinking process. I just put this stuff out there as I'm guided to, and I trust that it'll find whoever it's meant to, whenever it's meant to. And I want you to know that if you are going through an identity shift, that you're not alone. This is completely normal. As you come home to yourself. And yes, it can be painful. Doesn't always have to be. Healing can be really beautiful without all of the pain. Yes, are you going to have to feel things that might be deeply ingrained in your body? Yes. But healing can be really fucking beautiful. And I truly believe we came here to not only heal, but also to find the joy in life again. Because so many of us, literally every one of us, signed up to come here to forget ourselves. Like every single one of us, when we were writing out our contract, if you will, said, I'm going to go and I'm going to forget who I am so that I can unravel at some point in my life back to what I actually came here to do. And that is how New Earth, and that is how the new world is created, by all of us unraveling and coming home to ourselves and remembering why we actually fucking came here in the first place. Not because of this matrix box bullshit reality that we have created. And I say that with so much love in my heart, because once you start to see the things, you can't unsee it. And when you start coming home to yourself and you see the things that you can't unsee, it's hard to turn back around and go the other way. I always say, or I've found myself in the last few months saying, what is it like to be like that again? Not that I want to experience that life again, but I can't even remember all of what it's like to be in the matrix, in that version of myself that was created in that box that no longer exists for me. I understand that it exists for other people, and I do believe that there are multiple realities happening at once, because we all create our own reality. And some people are so entrenched in fear. Entrenched? Is that even a word? Who fucking cares? It's a word now. And that's the thing. We can create anything. I no longer choose to subscribe to those things. And it's interesting to watch people who do subscribe to those things, who do subscribe to the fear and grip so tightly to it, because they're unwilling to let it go. And that is control. From a false perspective, from a false identity, from a false anything. The only thing you have control over is yourself. And even then, control is not a thing. You have your intuition, which is your compass. It's your North Star. But control, really in the grand scheme of things, isn't a thing. And what I found myself in this last year of, just reflecting on where I've been and what I've done, and something that a friend brought up in conversation yesterday was how our ancestors are just us. They're older versions of us. Our friends are all mirrors of us. And when you can zoom out and see yourself from that perspective, I can look at my friends and see where they are and what they're experiencing and what they're projecting and all the things and see a past version, possibly a future version of myself, or another version, or another reality. But I can look at it with such love because I'm no longer experiencing that. I have grown out of that. And that's okay. It's okay to grow. It's okay to evolve. It's okay to change. That's what we came here for. And it's okay to remember who the fuck you are. But it can be a little disorienting if you don't have people to relate to in that sort of aspect. And even the people you relate to, sometimes they're old versions of you. And that can also be fucking disorienting. Let's just be real with that for a second, because people who have been so close to you, they actually mirror the old pieces of you or the deepest parts of you that maybe you've let go of. I have been faced with, we'll call it several people in the last few weeks, who have mirrored old pieces of myself and old versions of myself that used to react, that used to project, that used to take on everybody else's projections as a projector and digest it, or try to digest it as my own. Hence why I ended up with fucking Crohn's disease. Because everyone would project their stuff onto me, and I didn't know, I didn't have the tools to regulate, to let go of, to say, no, that's not my energy, actually. However, I do have the tools now that have that awareness to where I feel something in my body if someone says something, and I ask, is that mine? Is it not mine? Because if it's not mine, return to sender with love and light. It's not mine to carry. And it's also how I've stayed in the healed state that I'm in, because I no longer want to carry or wish to carry anybody else's stuff. But I can also see the mirrored aspect of it, right? My friends and I joke around that I'm a fucking sparkly disco ball, but it's true. We're all disco balls, technically. We're all mirrors for each other. And when you can zoom out and see that you are projecting and creating your external reality because of the stories and the things that have happened to you, that's how the thread unravels. I'm just gonna let that sit for a minute. Just gonna take a deep breath. And know that it's okay if you are in the middle of identity shift and you are losing people that you thought would be there forever, and maybe you're not losing them at all. Maybe they came to show you exactly who you were truly meant to be at your core. What a gift. That's an opportunity. Everything is an opportunity, as my gram used to say. And to go back to our ancestors, right? So the thought that I had this morning is that I can look back at my parents, my mother and my father. I can look back at their parents, grandparents. I can look back at my great-grandparents, and I can see the patterns from the maternal to the paternal to the union, and how my first marriage reflected my mom and my dad, because my mom had tried to break a cycle, and yet I don't know if they were actually meant to be together to have kids, but they had me, right? And so you can see the spiraling, and I had an out. I desired an out. So I created an out. I left my marriage within a year after me getting pregnant. And if you watch back on here, I talk about my pregnancy journey and what that experience was like for me. But that all happened for me to see, to realize that that actually was the breaking of the thread, because I was not meant to continue on that cycle the way that everybody previous to me had done. If you think about it, we actually are 3 generations. Like, I am I was created 3 generations ago, technically. Like, I was a seed in my mother's womb when her mom was pregnant, and vice versa. Like, it just, or you know what I mean. It just keeps going. And I created this whole identity for the first 33 years of my life. It's funny because I always knew 33 was going to be a big year. And I created this whole persona, and I created this whole identity based on a false assumption of what was not actually true. I became a nurse. Yes, were all these things helpful for my path? Yes. But is it what I truly actually wanted to do at my core? No. And you might be someone who's going through something similar, where you're realizing that everything that you have created actually isn't what you want. The famous line for the last 24 hours has been, what do you want? It's actually been the famous line for this entire year. What do you want? What do you want to create? What do you want to bring into this reality? What wants to flow through you? That's been my favorite question every single day. Also, check out this cute little microphone tattoo that I have. What wants to flow through me today? I wake up and ask myself that question every single day. I've asked it for the last several days. And it's been interesting to see what wants to flow through me. Today, this was also wanting to flow through me. Yesterday, another episode wanted to flow through me. And I do believe that these personal experiences are meant to help other people, because we're all mirrors of each other. And so I just want you to know that if you've created something and you want to burn it to the fucking ground and let it all go, and just know deep in your core, like, you have to trust yourself so deeply that that version of you is no longer needed. You understand that everything happened for a reason. You understand that you built those things based on false identity, false pretenses, whatever you want to call it. But trust that where you're going and what you want to create and the life that you actually want to live, that is ingrained in your soul. For me, that revolves around dancing and music. And I've known that since I was a kid. I was always creative. I always wanted to be creative. And when people ask me, what do I want? I just say I want to create in whatever capacity that looks like. Photography, painting, jewelry making, making music, dancing, helping others dance and move their bodies and get back into the core essence of their bodies. Like, I put all this out here, not just for myself, but for others as well. Ultimately leading me back home to me, right? But hopefully you can learn something from this, because that is the whole purpose of me sharing this and for this information coming through. And I said this yesterday on my last episode, but presence has been such a key lately, because I truly believe in the present moment. All we have is right here, right now. All we have is this meat suit staring at you on the screen. And I'm gonna turn that little baddie up somehow. There we go. That's weird. If you're watching and it just dimmed, that was interesting. My whole point is that presence and being here in the now is how everything is created. And we can't keep living from the past. We can't keep living from these old versions of ourselves. I've made peace with that old version of myself that no longer she is shedding. Quite literally, she is shedding. Because that version of me was built on things that no longer exist and no longer can go where I am going in this life, and that's okay. You have to learn to make peace with that. To forgive the people that have left. They were only supposed to be there for a season. They served their purpose. And what a gift. What an opportunity. That they mirrored that back to you and you are able to heal. How fucking cool is that? So yeah, it might be the year of the snake going into the fire horse. And there may be a lot of cycles ending, and the awareness may be very heightened right now because, not for nothing, it needs to be. And in order for us to move forward, we have to shed these pieces of us that can no longer exist in the way that we're moving. And that's okay. So my gift for you today is to be present, to take everything as an opportunity. You get stuck at a red light, an opportunity to be with yourself. Your order is wrong when you go to Starbucks, and they give you a second drink. Opportunity. You just got a 2-for-1. There's so many ways to see the opportunity in something, even when you think it's not going the way that you thought. Someone used you as their emotional punching bag. Great. A lesson in boundaries. An opportunity to create better boundaries for yourself and to put those out there into the world, to be able to speak them into existence. There's so many different ways opportunities can come through. And when you start looking at the world as a whole opportunity, life changes. So for now, keep shedding, keep walking home, and know that I'm proud of you. And thank you for showing up if this found you. I'm sending you with so much love.